Okay, I hope you're excited and ready for day one of the weight training. So hopefully you've done your cardio by now. Remember, about 10 to 15 minutes of cardio. If you haven't, go do it right now. When we get into the weight training, we need to sufficiently warm up anyway for about 10 minutes. This is additional to your cardio. So this is going to be on a treadmill or on elliptical or a bike, whatever, as long as it's just getting the blood flow to all the muscles and it's getting your heart rate up in preparation for the weight training. So, I hope that you've been writing everything down. If not, make sure that you do it right now. We need to know that you've been doing your cardio, so track your cardio by putting it in on the first thing at the top, then along with your food and your weight training, so you can progress and be accountable. Put it in your notepad and follow it on Body Space as well. So the weight training that we're going to be doing today is chest, triceps and abs. We've got a great sequence of exercises that's going to work perfectly for you, so let's get into it. Okay, the first exercise you're going to be doing is the flat bench press. So find yourself a bench press looking like this with an Olympic bar on it. There may be weights already on there. If so, just take them off because we're just going to warm up with the bar. So Jim is approaching the bar. He's putting a towel on the bench, so try to do the same for convenience of other members. Place your hands just a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. There might be a couple of rings on the Olympic bar. You'll put your index finger on there, so evenly spaced, and then slowly lower the bar down to your chest, to the nipple area, and then back up. Repeat this process about 12 to 15 times to ensure that your muscles and your joints are warmed up sufficiently for the first working set. Then you're going to place some resistance upon the bar. So how do you know if the right resistance for you? If you're going to perform more than 15 repetitions, then the weight is obviously too light. You need to add more resistance. If you're doing less than 8 to 12 repetitions, then you need to actually take off a little bit more resistance. So you're going to put a plate on one end and then ensure that you put a collar on each end to make sure that that weight doesn't slide off. Make sure you grip the bar tight. Be sure that your thumb goes underneath the bar, not over the top with your fingers. So then you're going to lift the bar off the stays, and then you're slowly going to bring the bar down to your chest area, to the nipple region, and then back up. You're going to inhale on the way down and exhale on the way up. Repeat this process again around 12 to 15 repetitions. On your working sets, you should be reaching absolute failure, so you wouldn't be able to perform another rep if you wanted to. So that's the end of your first working set. Be sure to do 2 more of these working sets where you're reaching absolute failure. Once you've completed your sets, you can take the weights back off and put them back to the appropriate place. The next exercise on the roster will be the incline bench press. Very similar to the flat bench press, the only difference being is that the bench is actually slightly inclined at a 45-degree angle. So, what you're going to do is again do a warm-up set, and then your first set will be your working, and you're going to follow that with 2 more sets. So 3 sets in total where you're going to go to absolute failure. Again, you're going to place your fingers just slightly wider than shoulder width apart around the bar. If there are rings around there, your index finger will wrap around that and your thumb will wrap underneath the bar. You're going to slowly come down to the upper portion of your chest this time. If you do have any shoulder problems, just come down to the chin area. If you don't have any shoulder problems, then you can come all the way down to the chest. Inhaling on the way down, exhaling on the way up, contracting your shoulders and sticking your chest out. Again, same repetitions apply. If you're doing many more than 15 repetitions, it's obviously too light. If you're doing less than 8 to 12 repetitions, you need to take off some resistance until you reach in that rep range. Again, you're going to perform 2 more of those working sets to total to 3, reaching absolute failure on all. Be sure to put the weights back onto the weights tree once you finish. and then we're going to move on to the next exercise. We've worked the middle portion and the upper portion of the pec muscles. Now we're going to work the lower portion of the pec muscles. So you need to find yourself a decline bench press. Find one with leg supports to stop you from sliding down the bench. So now you're sufficiently warmed up throughout your elbows and your pec muscles. We can go straight into the decline bench press without warm up and go straight into our working set of around 12 to 15 repetitions. So we'll add resistance to the machine. We'll sit on the edge of the machine, put your shins in front of the leg supports to stop you from sliding down the bench. And your hand placement is going to be the same as before, index finger around the rings or slightly wider than shoulder width. And this time you're going to come down to the lower portion of your pec muscles, exactly where you're going to be targeting. Slowly down and slowly back up without pausing. A nice fluid movement. Inhaling on the way down, exhaling on the way up. You need to be pushing the bar directly above your lower pec muscles to target that specific area. And make sure that you do 2 more sets to absolute failure to complete your total of 3 sets. Once you've finished, put the weights back on the tree and be sure that you're hydrated. So now we're done with chest, we're going to move on to the tricep extension. This will be our first exercise. So find yourself a high pulley with a flat bar such as this. Be sure to warm up first. So you can perform around 12 to 15 repetitions until you feel sufficiently warmed up before moving into our first working exercise. Select the appropriate weight and then you're going to extend down in an arcing movement like Jim is demonstrating here until you contract your triceps before releasing back up and repeating this movement around 12 to 15 times. You should be reaching absolute failure at around the 12 to 15 repetition mark. If the weight feels a little bit too light, then you can increase the weight. Keep your elbows tucked in at all time and keep the upper arm static. The only thing that should be moving is your forearms to contract the triceps. So you'll complete 2 more of those sets to total to 3 working sets where you'll be reaching absolute failure around 12 to 15 repetitions before moving on to the next exercise. So the next exercise you're going to do for triceps is the overhead cable extensions. So your elbows and your triceps are sufficiently warmed up now. So as you can see, Jim is stepping forward here, one leg in front of the other. The elbows again are static to the side, pointing in. And Jim is actually contracting the triceps on each repetition here until he reaches absolute failure at around 12 to 15 reps. Again, you're going to perform 2 more of those working sets to total to 3, reaching absolute failure on all. The next exercise we're going to do are skull crushers. So you need to find a bench like the one shown in the picture and find yourself a barbell to perform this exercise. Again, you can go straight into your working sets. You're going to keep your elbows pointed in and prevent any damage onto your head. You're going to extend the bar slightly above your head. Pushing the bar above your eyes, just like Jim is demonstrating here, will ensure maximum contraction at the top without relaxing your triceps. 12 to 15 repetitions should be accomplished to absolute failure. Make sure you do 2 more of these sets. It's a total of 3 working sets. So now that we're finished with triceps, we move on to the last body part, which is upper abs. So find yourself a mat, and this will help support your back when you're performing your crunches. So place your hands on either side of your head, not behind. Don't grasp your fingers, just support the weight of your head and crunch up with your legs raised at a right angle. This will put extra emphasis on your upper abs. So rise up until you can't go any further, contract your abs and return to the bottom position, and keep repeating this process. Breathe out on the way up and breathe in on the way down. You need to reach failure on each set for a total of 3 sets. So that's the last exercise and body part for the day. So make sure you go on a treadmill or a bike and cool down for 5 minutes. So that's it for day 1. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that workout. Now, you're probably going to be sore, but don't worry, that's completely natural. You're breaking down muscle tissue. The only way you're going to rebuild and be sure that you're going to tone that muscle now is by eating adequate protein. So be sure to have your protein shake immediately after your workout, and then plenty of protein throughout your nutrition and supplements from there on after. This will help with your recovery, and the carbohydrate that you're going to be eating will give you sufficient energy as well. So tomorrow's going to be a rest day, and then we'll get straight back into the weights again on Wednesday. So the repetitions that you've been doing, 12 to 15 repetitions per exercise is sufficient, and you're going to do 3 sets of these 12 to 15 repetitions. Okay, be sure that you're going to rest for about 45 seconds to a minute in between sets before you repeat that process again. So tomorrow will not be a weight training day. Come back tomorrow though, I'm going to show you how to clear out your cupboards and what foods that you should be looking for and what foods that you shouldn't be looking for. So all you've got to worry about tomorrow is your cardio. Be sure to do 10 to 15 minutes of your cardio, whether it be on the bike, whether it be walking, elliptical trainer, whatever's good for you. And we'll see you tomorrow to clear out your cupboards.